What's going on, friends? Welcome back to another video, or welcome if this is your first time being here. My name is Lauren. I am a former Texas teacher turned homeschooler. You're probably here because you're just starting homeschool, and today I'm going to be answering the top most asked questions about homeschooling in Texas. Okay, one of the most asked questions for people who are considering starting homeschooling in Texas is it free? Is there going to be a budget that people need to set for it? What do they need to take into account when starting homeschool and what their finances are going to be like? And homeschooling in Texas is free. When you decide to homeschool, there's not like a fee that you pay. There is not a registration type of fee or, anything like that. But depending on the curriculum or the materials that you are going to want for your kiddos will determine how much money you and your family will spend on homeschooling. Some people spend zero money. Yours truly, I only get stuff that would be supplemental or like just for fun. You'll often see me getting stuff from Dollar Tree and Five Below to keep my expenses very low. But as far as curriculum or programs goes, we do not pay anything out of pocket. I create all of the resources for that. But if you choose a program or curriculum, then that could change just depending on your preferences. Okay, the second question is, how do I homeschool legally in Texas? There is a great resource out there with a number of questions that will be answered specifically for you, and they have all of the specific articles and laws that go along, and I will link that down below. It is the Texas Homeschooling Coalition, and Texas has very minimal requirements when it comes to the laws for homeschooling. The only thing that you have to do are the following: have a bona fide curriculum. That means like it's legit, it's real, you're actually doing some type of homeschool learning, all that jazz. The second requirement of that is that it has to be in visual form. So whether it's on paper or on video, just something to be able to back up that your child has done some learning. And the other requirement that Texas has is that you have to be teaching the 5 core subjects. So that's reading, spelling, grammar, some type of civics or citizenship, as well as math. So along with that, you might notice that science is not on that list. History can definitely be lumped into citizenship because they do talk about Texas history and recognizing like our United States facts and history and all of those things. But I did think that was very interesting to actually see within the laws that science is not one of those required 5. Even though in traditional schools, that is one of the main topics covered. Okay, the next question is, in Texas, when are you supposed to start homeschool? So in Texas, kindergarten is not a requirement. That might come as a shock to some of you, but kindergarten is not required in Texas. So technically it would be like around the age of 5 or 6 when you would start homeschooling if you are going to go a traditional route. Now, once again, this completely depends on your family and your child. So what I mean by that, for example, my son is right on the cusp. His birthday falls on the last day before the cutoff for him to be able, age-wise, to have been starting kindergarten. So he could either have been the youngest in his class, in traditional school we're talking about. He could have either been the absolute youngest in his class, or he would have been basically the absolute oldest. So at that point, that's when you can kind of decide, engage developmentally. You may want to talk to your physician or pediatrician to help you with that, or even your family members and things that they have noticed. When you're watching your child take in information, when they are learning, when they are interacting, you will know. You have been with them their whole lives up until this point. You've seen them develop. You kind of will know when they're ready to start learning more and not just taking on information in their environment, but learning new information. So at this point, this is where your best judgment will come into play. Trust yourself though, and if anything, you can start very small and then add tidbits as you go. Just keep in mind that learning does not start in pre-K or kindergarten. Learning started when your child first came into contact with you, when they were first born, when you first got them. So you have been a lifelong learner up until the point that they are age appropriate to start more formal schooling if that's what you're choosing to do. Okay, the next question is, do you get paid for or qualify for any reimbursements? Or in this case, I know some people are talking about tax breaks when it comes to homeschooling in Texas. The answer is no. There are no financial perks, I guess you would call it, when it comes to homeschooling in Texas. Although there are some savings accounts like Roth IRAs and things like that that you could qualify for that are meant for educators. So if you're interested in something like that, definitely look into it. But for your expenses for materials or curriculum or different programs and things like that, unfortunately, no, in Texas, this does not happen. Okay, the next question is, if your child has special needs or learning disabilities, are you allowed to homeschool them, or is it a good choice to homeschool them? Absolutely. I don't think that you should let anything hinder your decision. If you are like 85% there and you're wondering, okay, my child is showing signs of dyslexia or ADHD, should I put them in public school anyway? Pause and listen to the answer that I'm going to tell you, because in the state of Texas, the law requires that children 0 to age of graduation are able to qualify for resources available in the school district that they would normally go to. So if you are living in an area and there's a school nearby and you know the district that you live in, that district is required to provide resources to your child if they are needing speech therapy or additional support with creating an IEP. That's an individualized education plan. If there are signs, or if you want to get them evaluated for a learning disability or anything else that would otherwise hinder them from performing at a normal level. And we all know that's not a fun word to use when we're talking about our kids, and especially with their progress in education, but that is what they call it. So I will quote it specifically. It says, state law requires that Texas public schools are required to evaluate and determine services for a student age 0 to graduation who is considered to have special education needs, and federal funding be allocated to that student based on student's needs, and the resources are available in the district where the student would normally attend. Once again, I will leave the links down below if you want to go and check out more of the laws and what it states and all of the nitty-gritty that comes along with that. But in short, if your child has any learning disabilities or special needs when it comes to education, your district that you live in is required to support you in that if you decide to go that route. And if not, there are also other resources that you can use that will still assist you in your homeschool. Okay, and the last question that we're going to talk about today, big drum roll, because everyone has this question when you're just jumping in: how does my kid graduate, or can they graduate from homeschool? So the answer is absolutely yes. Yes, they can. You can take them from pre-K to graduation all on your own in your own homeschool. This is because Texas considers homeschools their own private education entity, if you will. So you're basically a private school. So you determine the requirements and terms for your child graduating. So it is at your discretion. You would create a diploma for them, you sign it, your child signs it. You can find lots of different templates for transcripts if that's something that you are concerned about. If you're big into record keeping, there are also different templates for report cards that you can create that go along with whatever you have taught or whatever was covered in the curriculum or program that your child has been part of, if that makes you feel a little bit better. I know for myself, since I was a teacher, I like to have, the evidence of what we've learned. I keep a few work samples, and if you're interested in that, I will leave the link above here. And I also have like a freebie report card template if you would like to use that. So that's gonna be it for this video. I hope that you found this very helpful. I hope that it encourages you to push on with your decision to homeschool your child in Texas. It will be one of the best things to happen to you, your children, and your family as a whole. We have really enjoyed it, and like I said, I went from the classroom to home, and it has been a transition for me, as it probably will be for you until you find your footing and your groove. But in the long run, it is an awesome decision to make. You will not regret it. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you have not subscribed, go ahead and do that so you don't miss another video, and I will see you in the next one.